what people say, we fake it till we make it.
No.
I don't believe in that. Integrity is my number one core value. And I couldn't fake it. I needed a minute. And I literally told my team, I was like, listen, I'm going to be going. I'm not going to be available. I need to go and I need to get myself right. And I met with practitioners and I spent really, really quality time with God to get myself back into alignment, to get my nervous system re-regulated, and to remind myself who I am and what I'm here to do.
Yes.
Good idea. Now we buying merch.
That's ghetto.
Payment miss.
Ooh, the ghetto.
Say she quit.
Ooh, the ghetto.
Late on your rent.
Rent is ghetto.
New event.
Ooh, the ghetto.
Invoice in.
That ain't ghetto.
Money spin.
Oh, that's ghetto. Hold on. It's kind of ghetto being a CEO.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ghetto CEO Podcast, where we talk about how being a CEO can be super ghetto sometimes. We always bring guests on the show that gives us a real, raw, and transparent look behind the scenes of being a CEO. And you guys know it is season 5 and we are in album mode. That's why we in the studio, okay? And album mode is your grind season. This is when you got to lock in and get stuff done. A lot of people are asking, what should I be doing in this economy right now? And I'm telling, this is not your soft girl era. This is your album mode. And it is time to lock in, get back to the basics, and really do the things in your business that's going to move the needle. And so we're bringing on guests that we know can get in album mode and has been in album mode for years, so that you can be able to learn how to get in album mode in your own business. And today is no different. Today's guest is a business strategist, a transformational speaker, and a powerhouse CEO who's built an empire on faith and financial mastery. Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon is the founder of Incredible One Enterprises, where she helps high-achieving entrepreneurs grow and scale businesses that generate revenue and leave a legacy. With over 20 years in business, she's led her clients to over $1.3 billion in results, blending marketplace strategy with spiritual alignment. She's a best-selling author, host of Move to Millions podcast, and proof when you align your purpose with profit, miracles happen. Please welcome Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. Hello.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I am excited for you to be here as well. So, okay, we got to catch up a little bit.
Okay.
Tell us about a time when you think about album mode, what does your mind immediately go to? Like, when was that season where you had to get in album mode?
That was a good question. And I was sitting here and I was thinking about it because I don't grind in my business. So it's important to me to operate with grace and ease. But there absolutely was a grind season.
Okay.
So I'm going to take us all the way back to 2014.
Okay.
I have been back in my business full time for 3 years at that point in time.
Okay.
And I say back in my business because I had to file bankruptcy and go get a job so I could avoid living in my car. And so when I came back into the business full time, I knew that this was a 7-figure empire. It's actually 8 figures today.
Yes.
But at the time, I just needed to get to 7.
Yes.
And so I had to put my head down and I had to really lock in on what it would take for me to carve out a niche in the marketplace so that my desire to combine spiritual principles with business growth strategy would actually be a place where people would want to come and spend time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you say, you know what, I need to make sure that I have God in this business when I'm growing it?
Because I'm a God girl. I always have been. Well, let me rephrase that. I used to be a church girl.
Okay.
But then I became a God girl.
Okay, tell us the difference.
Yes, there is a difference. A church girl is religious, right?
Yeah.
She's the one when you walk up to her and you're like, how are you? She's blessed and highly favored. And if you hit her too hard, she might speak in tongues, but it ain't genuine.
Yes.
That's what she thinks she
Trying
has to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's performing in the church. She's got this position and she thinks that that's the way it's supposed to be. Whereas a God girl has gotten to know God for herself. She's beyond religion because religion was created by man to really keep us from the fullness of God. Because if we are in the bondage and fear that religion allows, then we're not experiencing what God can really do in our lives.
Yes.
Right? And so for me personally, I was in my 20s when I had my first ex-fiance. That's probably a whole nother episode.
Come on now.
But my first ex-fiance got an older woman in our church pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And that really sent me into developing a relationship with God for myself instead of being all rites and rituals and all the do's and don'ts of religiosity. And so during that time when I got to know God for myself, I realized that I didn't want to be separated from him. That in his word, the promises that he made me are mine. These yes and amen promises are mine. And they should be in every orifice of my life. And so I started to live my life that way, decreeing and declaring and demanding that my business show up and line up to what it is that God said it should be. And as a result of doing that, we were able to build out a methodology that we use, which we can now imprint in the lives and businesses of our clients.
Okay, I love this. Okay, so you said that during that phase of your life, you had to go, it was probably a hard season.
It was.
When you found that out, right? But what made you say, I need to go to God instead of trying to figure this out on myself?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you could do it by yourself, it could already be done.
That's good.
Right? And, the Bible even says if you train up a child in a way that they should go, when they're older, they won't depart from it. And even when we go out and we backslide or do all the things, right? We still remember. And for me, like, I knew it wasn't man that was creating the situation that it was in. I knew it was Darnyelle Antoinette creating the situation that I was in. And I remember this movie, Morris Chestnut and Taraji P. Henson were in Not Easily Broken. It was like a T.D. Jakes movie. Well, at the end of the movie, the credits are starting to roll and you hear Morris Chestnut's voice say, if you want to know the purpose of a thing, consult the creator of a thing. And so for me, it was just natural to combine my faith, something that has really grounded me. I mean, we're sitting in these chairs with these weighted blankets on, regulating our nervous systems right now. And for me, my relationship with God is a nervous system regulator, right? I believe that when we were created, he gave us everything that we need to self-heal.
Yeah.
And when we tap into that relationship with him, we can self-heal. I mean, the Bible says in Genesis 1:26, let us create man in our image and likeness and give him power, authority, and dominion over all things. So that means I got dominion over my business. I got dominion. I don't even have to worry about the economy, right? You talked about that a little bit in your intro. I'm not concerned about what's happening in the economy. I got my own economy.
Yes.
And I don't need to be concerned about that, right? And so for me, and I think, the Bible says, let every man be fully persuaded in their own mind. I am fully persuaded that my relationship with God is centrifugal to the way that I live every single day and why I run a business today that serves me financially and spiritually, that is profitable, and I'm able to help other people do the same.
I love that. And I think my question to you would be, I know there's people that's watching this that's like, I love God. You love God? What's wrong with you? Like they're feeling that, right? But then they also, in their mind, they're hearing the noise of outside. So how do you cut the noise off of the TV and the news and all the things and really zone in on your purpose and your alignment?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I only know what's going on in the world on those occasional moments when I'm on social media. I'm not a scroller, so I do not operate TikTok. I don't know what the latest thing is. I don't know, and I don't care. Because the media is sensationalized to breed fear. That's the whole purpose of it. And if we can keep people afraid, then we can guilt them and goat them into doing whatever it is that we want to do.
Right.
And so I made the choice a very long time ago. I don't watch TV. I believe in putting more in me than I put on me. And I've never watched TV and money popped out. Not once. I'm waiting for it to happen, but it hasn't happened. And so I don't put my energy there. And so I find out people who die. I find out all the things when I go on social media. I'm like, oh, such and such died. I had no idea. Or, oh, Orange Man is doing crazy things in the White House. I had no idea because it didn't matter because my business is still businessing.
Yeah.
So I think personally, you just have to make a decision, right? And I'm not saying that you have to completely keep the world out, but you have to temper it. You have to protect your peace. Go in and get the highlights and the headlines, right? I have the CNN app on my phone. So if there's anything I need to know, I can go and I can watch the highlights. I don't have to sit in front of the TV. Like my mom, she's from that generation where the news is on all day and all she does is complain about how everything, we going to hell in a handbasket, as she says, right? Like that's not how I roll. That's not how I move. And so I've made that choice to just really focus on what I'm here to do. I try to keep my blinders on. I can't tell you what anybody else is doing. I'm not looking left and right. I'm running my own race. Yeah. And I think that is what really helps us, those of us who want to win in this economy. Because listen, we cannot argue that, last week the stock market was acting real ghetto. Right. As you would say, right? Real ghetto. Now it's acting like it got a little bit of sense this week.
But you never know.
But here's the thing. And even then, stocks were on sale. I mean, I cleaned up. I put a lot of money in the market because I know it's a long game. It's not a short game. But if you're watching the media, it will sensationalize and it will breed fear. And when we're afraid, we are not in faith because they cannot occupy the same space.
Yes.
And so, I mean, you just have to decide for yourself. Like, you can absolutely, like, what just played in my head is you could get with this or you could get with that, right? Like, I mean, you could get with this.
Right. You could be fearful or you could be faithful.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I just choose to be faithful and just to operate, understanding what my gifts are and what I bring to the table. There is no one out here like me. I'm the best thing since pockets.
Yes, period.
With the T on the end, right? So it's a choice. It's a decision.
I love it.
We get to decide.
Are you tired of having failed launches? Well, listen, I got something way better for you. That's us here at Red Necessity Digital Agency, my agency where we actually produce marketing campaigns that help you actually convert. Now, listen, we are just not trying to create a moment. We're creating movements. And if you want us to help you create ROI generating campaigns, then make sure you go to rednecessity.com. Now back to the episode. I love that. And so when do you feel like, so after you made that decision, you're like, hey, I'm going to be in alignment in my business. Do you ever feel like your faith was tested in your business, and when?
I don't know if I would say my faith is tested.
Okay.
But Darnyelle is tested.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I'm a human being.
Yes.
If you cut me, I bleed. I put my panties on one leg at a time, just like everybody else.
Yes.
And so, yes, there are moments where if you get 3 no's, like say it's a sales call day and you're the person in your business making the sales calls and you get 3 no's, you might question,
am I supposed to be
supposed to be here?
Yeah.
Is something wrong with my offer? Is it my pricing?
Yes.
Even though that none of those things can be an indication that there's anything wrong with your offer. It could actually be that it was something you said or didn't say in the conversation that led to the no, or that you didn't qualify the person initially to make sure that you were talking with somebody who's actually ready for the level of excellence that you bring to the table.
Absolutely.
But when these things happen, we always look inward and we always think there's something wrong with us. And again, I'm human. So yes, I've had those moments. Last year, I had something happen in my company that shook me. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed. I'm not going to go deep into it because there's a legal matter involved right now. But I had a member of my team who violated intellectual property and trade secrets. And I had to release them to their best and highest good out of my company. And it was challenging because they had been with me for a very long time. It was someone I truly trusted. I could leave my company in their hands and it would be okay. I wouldn't have to worry. And when that happened, it shook me.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah.
It made me question. I had to come back into the day-to-day of my business, which I had not been in for a long time.
Yeah.
And evaluate and make changes and streamline, and all of those things cause questions, right? It made me ask myself maybe some things I should have been asking, but I wasn't. And I believe it didn't happen to me. It happened for me.
Yes.
Right? I believe all things are working together for my good.
Absolutely.
And even that, I mean, it was her season to go.
Yeah.
And this was a way to release her. And so, you know, I'm grateful for the time that we had. And I'm even grateful for this incident because it's making me tighten my systems and infrastructure all the more so that we are better prepared so that this doesn't continue to happen. But that caused questioning, right? There was a test of me. So much so, Monrae, that I went to Sedona. It's been about a month at the time that we're recording this that I got back from Sedona. Girl, I needed a minute and I needed to go have a little talk and I needed to go where the energy is high so that I could shift my vibration and get myself back into alignment because I think it definitely, it did something. Yes. Right. And I could act as if, and you know, what people say, we fake it till we make it. No. I don't believe in that. Integrity is my number one core value and I couldn't fake it. I needed a minute and I literally told my team, I was like, listen, I'm going to be going. I'm not going to be available. I need to go and I need to get myself right. And I met with practitioners and I spent really, really quality time with God to get myself back into alignment, to get my nervous system re-regulated and to remind myself who I am and what I'm here to do.
Yes.
Because I'm doing big things and I got big things to do. And one monkey will never stop the show.
Yes. I love that. And even one thing that I think about on this Ghetto CEO journey, a lot of people don't talk about is the pushback or the blowback of employee decisions, right? Because it don't matter what they do.
Yeah, it's me every day. It's me on the line, right? Like I remember, I mean, I've had employees for the greater part of the last 10 years on and off this has probably been the most consistent season what I've had, 5 or more full-time employees. But I can remember so many times employees doing stupid stuff that cost me money, and I have to eat it.
Yes.
It's ghetto.
Yes, very ghetto. Very ghetto.
Yeah, I mean, it's par for the course. And at the end of the day, I still would prefer to have employees over contractors. I think some roles it makes sense for you to have contractors, but, dedicated, understanding your business, operating under the auspices that you put in place for your business, you definitely need to have employees.
And it's a different level of responsibility, right? Yeah. When you employ a contractor versus a W-2 employee where you paying payroll and payroll taxes and all the things.
And benefits and subject to unemployment and all the things.
Girl, why you filing unemployment, girl? You ain't do nothing while you was here. That's why you're unemployed.
Okay, can we talk about that for a second? Because this is real ghetto. I had a team member who left a couple of years ago. I think it was a couple of years ago. Quit her job. Submitted letter of resignation.
Yes.
And went and filed unemployment.
Yes.
And this is the one thing that I do not love about being an employee. Depending upon the state in which your employee lives, I had to give this girl unemployment when she quit her job.
Yeah, she quit. Yep.
I didn't fire her. She left of her own free will. Yes. And I had to pay. I went to a hearing and everything. Yes. I had to pay it. Yes. Real ghetto.
Very ghetto. And it's the things that you have to deal with, as a CEO and the blessings that you've been called to do. Yes. So it's a full journey. And I definitely understand like the hardships. But at the beginning of the episode, you talked about you don't start, go in your business with grind. You go into it with grace.
Yes.
What does that look like? Because teach me some grace, baby. let me learn.
So here's the thing. And and no disrespect to anybody who's out there grinding, been there, done that, got all the t-shirts.
Yes.
But for me, I needed to find a way to operate in my business where it was not consuming and it was not messing with my mental health and my self-care.
Yes.
Right? So I have recently undergone a journey. I've lost 50 pounds in the last year.
We see you, girl.
Honey, listen. I barely got any clothes that fit, y'all. I really need to go shopping. So if you see me in this again, don't say nothing. Okay? I'm working it out. But anyway, so I had to make a decision that instead of grinding, I was going to set up systems and infrastructure. And what that looks like is instead of starting from scratch every time you go to do something, actually documenting the processes and finding systems that can automate it for you. If you do it once and you document it well, it can be done over and over without you having to be present and without you having to work hard for it, right? And so that's what became important to me. And that's one of the biggest challenges I see amongst the clients that we serve. So clients come to us when they're stalled around $300,000 to $400,000 a year. They know they have a 7-figure business, but it is not 7-figuring yet.
Gotcha.
And what I find often is because of 3 things. Number 1, they are not erecting systems.
Okay.
They are not thinking about their operational infrastructure from their vision point. They're operating from their day-to-day vantage point. And that's always going to be skewed, right? Yeah. And then they're not hiring the people that they need. So they are paying themselves well, but they have just created a really good paying job. They're not experiencing the benefits of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
And so for me personally, same thing. I was doing the same thing. I was the only service provider in my company, providing all the service, breaking my back, busting my ass. I mean, doing all the things.
Yep.
And sure, I was doing well and my clients were getting results, but I didn't have a man.
Yep.
And listen, I don't care how much money you have. It cannot keep you warm at night.
Come on now.
Listen. And I just decided I didn't want to be a one-trick pony and I didn't want to just be my business. I really wanted a well-rounded life. And so I had to put those systems in place.
Oh, I love it.
I had to loosen the reins and start to trust. Yeah. And putting the systems in place allowed me to fortify my trust.
Yeah.
Because if I've documented how something needs to be done and you can read, then you ought to be able to do it if I'm not around. Right? And so those types of things really helped me to get the business infrastructure set up to where I didn't have to be present. And I brought on people who actually had skill sets that complemented my skill sets. I think one of the things we do wrong as entrepreneurs and small business owners is we think that no one can be us. And that's the truth. You are unique. You have your own set of fingerprints. No one can be you, but you can teach the core components of your service to other people for them to do it in a way that is uniquely theirs, that will add value and bring transformation to your clients so that you don't have to be the only one serving your clients. And I really think that it's a lack mindset that makes us think that we should be the only service provider.
And I think, at one phase, I have to even think about myself, right? As a solopreneur, when I first got started 11 years ago, it was like, I can do everything. So why shouldn't I do everything, right? And then when you do get that moment of trust to say, okay, I'm going to bring this person in, and they don't do the thing just like you would do it, you'd be like, see, take that back.
Right.
You know,
if you want something done right, do it yourself. Right.
And not even knowing that you're not even operating at the high point, to your point of like, you need to see the vision of everything that should be happening to the business.
Right. You have to be in the position to strategically preside,
yes.
right? If you're looking down, then that means you're not looking up.
Yeah.
You're just focused on where you are right now, not where you're going. And someone has to stir the ship. And the only way that's going to happen is if you actually do it, and you have to take the time. Now, what I hear a lot, I get a lot of flack and resistance because it takes time to document procedures. Well, that was probably before Chatty. Yeah. Now with Chatty, you can whip something out in like a minute. Yes. Girl, listen, sometimes it'd be like 13 seconds. Right. I'm like, you better go. Listen, but in order to make that happen, like, we have to recognize and get clear about what we're doing. Now, there is nothing wrong with wanting a 7-figure business. Yes. But most people want 7-figure companies, but they're operating in businesses. There's a different infrastructure. There's a different mindset. There's a different way you have to move, right? And so if you want to understand what that looks like, then you're going to have to strategically preside, and you're going to have to put some people in place, which means that you got to start documenting. And it's simple. Literally take your voice recorder, and while you're doing a task, say out loud what it is that you're doing. Yeah. Then that will turn into a transcript that you can then edit to make into a standard operating procedure or SOP, and then you can put it in a format that it can be utilized. For every SOP we have in our company, we have a process flow, we have the written document, and then we also have a video. So no matter how our team members like to consume and learn, we have a way for them to learn the procedure in the way that's going to work best for them. Right. And it also helps to increase their productivity and efficiency.
I know you are enjoying this episode of the Ghetto CEO Podcast, but listen, I need you to do me a favor, okay? I need you to subscribe, like, and comment below, because I only know that you're watching this if I see those views and all those things go up. Okay, now back to the episode. And I love that because it really allows, I also, every time I think about SOPs or operational procedures, I think about when I watched the McDonald's movie, you know, and it was like, you have to do this thing, the same thing. System. Yes, you got to do this thing the same way every time. And regardless of how good you love fast food, or if you like Chick-fil-A, but you could go to different Chick-fil-A's and get the same experience. Correct. The food is going to be the same. So why can't people come back to you and your business and get the same experience?
Exactly. I mean, I think that's such a great analogy to reference, and it just demonstrates also the only reason why McDonald's was able to have as many franchises as they have is because they have the Speedy system. Yeah. And we, in our marketplace, our world, that's your signature system, right? Your methodology, your framework, your unique mechanism of how you do whatever it is you do. There's nothing new under the sun. All business coaches should be doing the same exact thing. They should be. If they're not, run. They should be telling you the same thing. They might call it something different, right? The way that they help you get to it might be different, but the way you grow a business is the way that you grow a business, and you've got to understand that if you desire for your business to grow.
No, that makes sense. And so when you are growing your business, what does it look like to really lock in with God to make sure He's leading you in these decisions that you're making in your business? Like, what does that alignment look like?
So this might be a uncommon perspective. Okay. God has already given us power, authority, and dominion. So I think a lot of people are waiting on God when God is waiting on us, right? James says faith without works is dead. I say we got to give God something to bless. So if you truly tap in and understand and see yourself the way that God sees you, and know that He put everything in you that you need to be a success before you were formed in your mother's womb, then we don't have to go to God with everything. Because God already gave it, right? The scripture, and I think it's in Proverbs, says, if you delight yourself in the Lord, it might be Psalms, I always get them too mixed. But anyway, if you delight yourself in the Lord, He'll give you the desires of your heart. What I believe that means is that when it comes into your mind that you want a 7-figure business, that's not your original thought or construct. Because you're delighting yourself in God, He put that in you. Yeah. And so because He put it in you, He's already given you everything that you need to do it. You already have it. So you don't have to wait. You have to tap in to your knowledge and expertise and go get the support that you need if you need to get support. Like, people are always like, yeah, I had to pray on that. Why? sometimes you don't need to pray. Sometimes you need to act.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes you need to not act.
Yeah.
And that's the discernment of understanding what that looks like. So I am not of the belief, and I'm not of the belief that you have to go to God with everything. I believe that if you have a relationship with God, as you interact with him, those things are going to come to you, but you don't need to wait on him to do anything because he's already given you the ability to do it.
I love that. I love that. Already giving you the ability to do it. So we're going to play a little game.
Okay.
Okay. So these are like rapid fire questions and you have to finish the sentence really quickly. Okay. Okay. So the first question is, I knew I was called to be a CEO, the CEO life when?
I knew I was called to be a CEO back in my 20s when my boss asked me to do something, and I was like, who the hell he think he is?
It's like, this is not for me.
Listen, I mean, and I didn't leave right away, but I did start making my plan to leave corporate America at that point in time.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so the next one is, the moment everything changed for me was?
The moment everything changed for me was when I decided to go get what I knew was mine.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I was meandering in my business, right? I was doing what everybody else was doing and expecting to get a different result. But I knew that there were things that specifically, if I did these things, they would produce the result that I wanted. And I just decided to stop playing small and doing what it was that I needed to do. I think for me personally, there was a point in time where I got comfortable, I got complacent, and I was coasting. And it was really easy for me to hide.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can hide in plain sight. And I was doing well in my business.
Yeah.
And well in a business in this marketplace is like an anomaly in and of itself. Everybody out here talking about they doing 7 figures is not doing seven figures in a year.
Yeah.
Some of them are adding it all up
Together.
And listen,
across 7 years.
Listen. And if we adding it up, we all doing 7 figures. Right now, we're talking about in 12 calendar months or less is what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
But I knew I was supposed to be doing more than I knew I was supposed to go to 8 figures. And I was comfortable. And then I just was like, you know what? If you don't go, there are people out there who are tied to you that are not going to realize what's possible for them if you coast, if you don't go. And so I decided to go and get it.
I love that. Okay, our next question is, my best marketing decision was?
My best marketing decision was to learn the power of repurposing.
Yes.
Once you do something once you do something once
Yes.
and you get it right, you dial it in, you rinse and repeat that thing. Listen, I think about Disney. Disney is the perfect example of repurposing.
Yeah.
They don't create a new Cinderella.
No.
They just pull that thing out at the vault every few years and make a whole bunch more money off the same thing, right?
Yes.
So, the marketplace will lead you to believe that you always have to be coming up with something new.
Yeah.
But I think the businesses that do the best, they rinse and repeat the same things over and over again. Why would you take the time to get something dialed in, get it just right where it's converting at the level you want it to convert, and then decide to flip the script?
Yeah.
That is dumb. That is ghetto.
Yeah, no, literally. And this is one thing that I tell people all the time. Like, when you get to the point that you start making money, business is boring because you're doing the same thing over and over. It's boring.
And I tell my clients all the time, they want to dance. I mean, they want to do all these different, well, I saw such and such did this.
It's that creative
Do
itch.
you know what such and such is doing on the back end? Do you even know if that performs?
Yes.
But here's what we do know. Let's look at this data.
Yes.
This data says that if you do this and then you do that, then it's going to produce this.
Exactly.
So we're going to do that and we're going to keep doing that until it starts to increase at a certain level.
Yes.
And then maybe we'll evaluate whether or not we need to do something different.
Yes.
Right? I tell my clients all the time, one offer takes you to 7 figures. You do not need a full offer suite with a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Even in this market. Now,
Yeah.
you may need an offer for people to get to know you, to become indoctrinated to you in this marketplace, because buyers are more discerning. They're taking more time to make a decision because they all got hoodwinked and bamboozled during COVID when they was just buying up everything.
Right.
Because if you said out loud you did it, then they were like,
believed you.
Right. Well, we're not in that marketplace anymore.
Right.
And so you might need an indoctrination offer, but that is really just to warm them up to take your actual signature offer. And that's really all you need to focus on.
Yes, and I say it all the time. Your job is to create the recipe.
That's
your
right.
job, whatever it looks like to perfect that pound cake.
That's right.
That is the same thing you should be doing in your business.
That's
I love
right.
it. I love it. So if somebody is watching this and they're saying, hey, I resonate with what she's saying, I need to go into album mode, or I'm in a season where I need to figure out exactly what I would do in my business, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would probably say 3 things. So number 1, success leaves clues. So take a look back over your shoulder, see what you've already done, what has already happened, and evaluate it. Run the data. I don't make any decisions in my business without reviewing the data first.
Yes.
So that would be number one. Number two, once you review the data and the data substantiates this being the thing that you do more, go back and look at whatever it was and see if there are opportunities by running a SWOT analysis. What were the strengths? What were the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? Your strengths and weaknesses are going to be internal to that process. Your opportunities and threats are going to be external. But take a look at all of that. And if you have a team, invite your team in. I believe that people support what they help to create.
Yes.
So if you invite them to be a part of the process with you and to see how they can refine and amplify whatever it is you've already done, that will make a difference. And then the last thing, do it. Get out, take the action, do the thing while continuing to evaluate and look for the lessons that you can learn and how you can continue to make it better.
I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Ghetto CEO Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Invoice in.